As you may have heard in the Arctic B12 ARGB review, there is a very specific model of fans that I always wanted to have since high school, but I never could. Well, at this point I would like to thank Case-King, because thanks to them, now I can. Meet the 2020 version of the fan that I always wanted, the beefed up version of the original Noiseblocker Eloop, the Noiseblocker Eloop X? Well, somebody took a look at Microsoft's playbook. But now they have RGB. This episode is brought to you by CDKoffers.com. CDKoffers offers a wide variety of software or game keys for a fraction of their usual retail price. You can get your usual PC game codes or even library codes for things like Steam, Uplay and Origin. But the most important part for us are the software codes. Here we can get software activation codes for things like MS Office or Windows 10 for a ridiculously cheap price. And right now you can also use the promo code TS20 to get a 20% discount to make the already cheap Windows 10 license even cheaper. If you want to get that nasty activation message away, make sure to head down to the links in the description below and don't forget to use the promo code TS20 for a 20% discount. So today we're gonna have a look at the Noiseblocker Eloop X, specifically the B12-PS ARGB. And I'm quite happy that I'm finally able to do that, because back then when the original Eloop launched, which had to be somewhere around 2013 based on that Product Design Award 2013, which they are still printing on the 2020 version. Anyway, back then I was completely baffled by the new idea they brought to the table, and I was never able to really know if it was really that good. Well, today is the day, so let's quickly go over the most important specs. In total, there are 4 different variations of the Noiseblocker Eloop X 120mm fans. There is the B12-PS running at 1500 RPM and the B12XP running at 2000 RPM. Then for each of the 2 different speeds, there is a white and a black version. What we have here is the black PS version with a max speed of 1500 RPM. So everything I will be saying today will only apply to this exact fan. Coming back to the specs, the silent version is able to push 58.1 CFM at 21.2 dB with a static pressure of 1.8 mm of water. So they are a bit airflow focused, but not like crazy. Inside of the box, you will find a totally different type of mounting screws. Instead of the usual create your own thread screws, Noiseblocker includes a set of N3 sized threaded nuts, screw nuts and rubber knobs. The way that you are supposed to install these is by putting the knobs into the holes of the fan, which is going to be on the inside, then the other 4 knobs onto the screws, position the fan wherever you want, and then just shove the rod through the case and through the fan and then fix everything with a nut. And yes, it seems that the piece of rod will be sticking out. I don't know why, but that's how it is. For connectivity, the Eloop X's are running over a 4-pin PWM header and a 3-pin addressable for RGB. Both are coming out right at the fan's frame. To actually be able to connect these fans, Noiseblocker includes a 20 and a 50 cm long extension for both the PWM and the ARGB. So you have a maximum of 70 cm of cable. That being said, I wanted to mention that this is by far the most German packaging I have ever seen in my life. I have just recapped the stats that I think are the most important for a fan, but look at this sheer army of stats. Everything is on here. Starting voltage, rated voltage, power current, airflow in CFM, airflow in cubic feet, lifetime, temperature, material, just everything. This is Tech Jesus great packaging. And it doesn't end here. There are trademarks, weird sounding patents and won awards all over this. And then there is this. Federal Ministry of Economics and Technology Germany. On the basis of a decision by the German Bundestag. So in order to support these, they rounded up the German parliament, woke up Moody and started to vote? Yep, that's how it happened. Okay, let's get back to the fan. In general, the fan feels pretty good. It feels sturdy, it got some extra rubber pieces already attached to the frame, and it doesn't flex too much when you apply some force. And then there is the iconic Noiseblocker fan wing piece. It got the ring around the fan, it got the outsticking pieces at each wing, and it got these small incisions on the back of each fan blade. All of this is part of the Bionic concept, which, as far as I know, just means take something from nature that does something really good and make your product look like it. Like, this weird looking Mercedes car is based on this weird looking fish. I'm not sure on what these are based on, I'm guessing an eagle, but the focus of all of these small optimizations is to eliminate turbulences, make the thing quieter, and have a more streamlined airflow path. Now, let's see if they really managed to do that. We tested them in our usual benchmark inside of the ASA Hive with a Ryzen 3600X at 4.2 GHz with 2 fans in the front and 1 in the back as exhaust. At 100% fan speed, these Eloop X's managed to keep the 3600X at 63 degrees C, which puts them just slightly behind the P12s. Then slowing them down to 50%, the temperature settled at 84 degrees C. Again, just 1 degree behind the P12s. Okay, so performance-wise, they are very okay, not as good as P12s, but they are still in the very good range. That being said, the main focus of these fans, as far as I can tell, is actually sound. Even on the website, they immediately tell you how loud they are, and they even provide you with a reference value which tells you how loud something can be at night, part of a commercial activity based on some law. They are so German. But okay, let's take a listen. So compared to an Octave P12, standing in front of both, I would say that the Eloop X's are just slightly less loud. Not a lot, but the actual noise that they produce is kinda different. Like the P12 have that air cutting and pushing sound going on, whereas the Eloops kinda remind me of a mini jet engine. And if you hear both next to each other, you can immediately tell them apart. They sound completely different, and well, maybe that's the reason why I think they are quieter, I don't know, but they sound quieter. But what's really interesting is that these Eloops are not that quiet from the very beginning. I don't know how or what they did, but if you ramp them up to 100%, they start off as loud, and then they slowly adapt to become quieter. Take a listen. I did not tinker with the recordings in any way. This is what actually happens if you ramp them up. I have no idea what's going on, but the whole bio-optimization stuff it seems to be working fine. Okay, now let's get to the last point. RGB. Yes, they have RGB. As much as I like the performance and especially sound, the RGB implementation is in no way a good selling point for these fans. The 7 LEDs placed around the central piece are distinctive to the naked eye from a mile away. Sure, when it's dark you will get the RGB ring effect around the fan, but once you place an RGB fan next to it that comes with a milky material instead of that clear see-through stuff, they really don't look that good anymore. Plus, the see-through stuff just makes them look kinda cheap, which is a look that the original ones did not have. To be honest, I think they just wanted to jump on the hype train, and sorry, but the way they did it is either way too late or just not good enough, because for a 2020 fan, you had 2020 budget fans that did it better. Okay, so this then leads us to the next part. What could have been better? RGB. The RGB should have been way better. But this is also quite quickly solvable. Just use a wilky material and problem solved. Then there is also a part of the cables that I don't get. The extensions are looking really solid. The cables are written inside nice looking sleeves and all, but then the PWM plug on the fan looks like this. That's just wrong. They should be sleeved. And then there is the mounting system. I really like the rod and nut system, but why does the rod need to be that long? Like, no matter how you mount it, it will always be hanging there in the case, potentially even blocking other components. Just make it a bit shorter. Not too much. You still need to be able to fit that nut on there, but just a bit. On the performance and sound side, I really cannot nag. They perform really good, not quite Arctic, but still really good. For the sound, I think they are the quietest fans that I have seen so far. Though I have to say that we are getting to a level where it's really hard to hear any difference without a mic and really loud speakers. So yeah, the performance is okay. Though I also have to note that these are the silent fans, the 1500 RPM versions, and I will definitely try to get my hands on the 2000 RPM versions, cause I'm pretty sure they will completely knock out the B12 and be on the top of my benchmark list, but we will see that then. On the price side, they are not cheap. At around 27 euros or $29 on Amazon US per piece, they are quite far away from budget fans, but there are still a ton of really expensive fans above them, so it's still alright considering how much other fans cost. So to recommend or not to recommend? Honestly, because of the really shitty RGB implementation and because spec sheet wise there does not seem to be any difference to the original non-RGB fans, except for the 10 euro extra charge, I would say go for the original ones. The RGB is just not worth it. So yeah, I do recommend the original Eloop B12-PS fans for everybody who's looking for a good fan, who's also willing to pay extra for a bit of silence. But I do think you should skip on the RGB. Okay, so this should be it for the... Okay, so this should be all for the Noiseblocker Eloop X in their 1500 RPM variant. I would like to thank Case King again for providing us these amazing fans. And of course I will leave their links as well as some manufacturing links and Amazon links and whatnot down in the description below. On a quick side note, for some unexplainable reason, you can only find the RGB version on Noiseblocker's website when it's set to German. Sorry English speaking people, no RGB for you. Anyway, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.